Welcome back to Think Spree, the channel where we make history more suspenseful than your group chat after someone types "we need to talk." Today, we're diving into a moment when the fate of the entire world hung in the balance, because of one guy, a computer alert, and a whole lot of nerves. And no, this isn't science fiction. This really happened. You've probably never heard of this man, but you definitely owe him a thank you card. His name is Stanislav Petrov, and in 1983, he single-handedly stopped a full-scale nuclear war by doing nothing. Seriously. Nothing. Just sat there. Like how we all respond to emails we don't want to answer, except, the stakes were a bit higher. Before we get into this wild story, make sure to subscribe to Think Spree. It won't prevent global catastrophe, but it'll definitely improve your odds of surviving a trivia night. Alright, back to the end of the world. The year is 1983. The Cold War is still in full swing. The US and the Soviet Union are staring each other down like two sleep-deprived toddlers with rocket launchers. Tensions were already sky-high, especially after the US president at the time, Ronald Reagan, called the Soviet Union the evil empire, which, depending on who you ask, sounds either like political rhetoric or the plot of a Marvel movie. Now let's zoom in to September 26, 1983. Stanislav Petrov, a lieutenant colonel in the Soviet Air Defense Forces, is on duty at Serpukhov 15, a secret command center near Moscow. His job? Monitor a satellite system called OKO, which was designed to detect incoming US nuclear missiles. Just casual things. It's after midnight. The room is dim, filled with monitors, blinking lights, and that heavy Cold War tension. Suddenly, an alarm goes off. The computer flashes one horrifying message: missile launch detected. According to OKO, the United States had just launched a nuclear missile toward the Soviet Union. Then 2 missiles. Then 3. Then 5. Petrov had minutes, literal minutes, to decide whether this was a real attack. If he reported it up the chain as legitimate, the Soviet protocol would be to retaliate immediately. That meant launching a full-blown nuclear counterattack. And just like that, we'd be living in Fallout, real-life edition. Now imagine being Stanislav Petrov in that moment. Sirens blaring. Alarms screaming. Red lights everywhere. Everyone staring at you for a decision. Do you hit the button that sends the report up the chain? Or do you go against protocol, trust your gut, and risk being wrong? Petrov made a choice. He didn't trust the computer. Why? Because the whole thing felt off. He reasoned that if the US were actually launching a nuclear strike, they wouldn't send just 5 missiles. That's not a decapitation strike. That's barely enough to take out one major city. And the ground radar wasn't showing anything, only the satellite system was. So he waited. Minutes passed. Sweat, probably. Stress, definitely. And then, nothing happened. No explosions. No incoming nukes. Just the sound of a very relieved command center and one extremely smart, incredibly composed human being who just saved the world. Turned out the satellite had misread the sun's reflection off clouds over the US Midwest. It thought the light flashes were missile launches. Oops. Thanks, space weather. Now, let's pause here. Stanislav Petrov disobeyed protocol. If he had followed orders to the letter, World War III would have begun that night. There would have been no turning back. And millions, maybe billions, of lives would have been lost in a matter of hours. And here's the thing, almost no one knew about this for decades. Petrov wasn't given a medal. He wasn't even celebrated at the time. He was interrogated, scolded, then quietly reassigned. Because acknowledging that a single system failure almost triggered nuclear war? Not a great PR look for the Soviet military. Now, you might be thinking, okay, that was a one-time fluke, right? Surely, we've gotten better about avoiding this kind of thing since the 80s. Well, not exactly. Petrov's story isn't the only time we came dangerously close to nuclear war because of human error or technical malfunction. Let's rewind a bit to 1962. The Cuban Missile Crisis. At the height of that standoff, a Soviet submarine near Cuba was being harassed by U.S. ships. The crew thought war had already started. They prepared to launch a nuclear torpedo. But the launch required 3 officers to agree. 2 said yes. 1 said no. That no came from Vasily Arkhipov, another unsung hero of history. His refusal likely prevented a nuclear escalation right there and then. Or fast forward to 1995. A Norwegian research rocket was launched to study the northern lights. Russian radar mistook it for a possible missile. The nuclear briefcase, yes, the real one, was opened for the first time in Russian history. President Boris Yeltsin had a few minutes to decide. But communication confirmed it was harmless just in time. Close calls. Every one of them. And the scariest part? These weren't acts of war. These were false alarms. Technical glitches. Human confusion. In the nuclear world, accidents don't mean scratches and insurance claims. They mean irreversible catastrophe. So why do we still have thousands of nuclear weapons sitting in silos, waiting to launch in minutes? Good question. Some argue it's deterrence. Mutually assured destruction, or MAD, the idea that no one will start a nuclear war because everyone knows how badly it ends. It's like 2 people holding gasoline and matches, daring each other to blink first. But the problem with deterrence is, it assumes perfect rationality. Perfect communication. 0 accidents. And as we've just seen, human systems are not perfect. And neither are humans. This is why the story of Stanislav Petrov matters. Because it shows that the world didn't survive that night because of policy, or protocols, or brilliant design. It survived because one man trusted his instincts over his instruments. Because he stayed calm when the machine said panic. Petrov passed away in 2017. Not rich. Not famous. Just a man who made the right call at the right time. And if you're watching this video right now, you're part of the future he helped preserve. So what's the takeaway here? First, never underestimate the power of human judgment. As much as we rely on technology, some decisions still need a heartbeat behind them. Second, we need to keep pushing for transparency and smarter safeguards in nuclear systems. Because having that kind of power sitting on a hair trigger? That's not a long-term survival strategy. That's a high-stakes game of roulette. And finally, if you ever feel like you haven't done enough in life, just remember, you've probably never almost ended civilization by mistake. So you're doing great. If you found this fascinating, weirdly terrifying, and oddly inspiring, hit that subscribe button. We've got plenty more stories where that came from, stories that reveal just how fragile, strange, and miraculous human history really is. Thanks for watching ThinkSpree. Now go out there and make better decisions than a Cold War computer.